Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Thursday Night Football on DraftKings is right around the corner. We've got a fantastic matchup. Usually, the island games don't always end up with an explosive matchup like the one that we have here between Minnesota and the Philadelphia Eagles. Minnesota, a team that's very talented on offense, great fantasy stars abound with Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, but also they don't really stop anyone on defense, so it makes for fantastic outputs, and they have to square off against Jalen Hurts and everything that he has on that offense with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And we're going to get into all of it, especially all of the captains. We're going to take a look over at Underdog Fantasy and build a pick 'em. We're going to go over to Fantasy Labs and look at the lineups for this game and how we can use their lineup builder to make better lineups ourselves. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, leave me a reply down below. Let me know which value plays you think are going to be really interesting on this Thursday night salary slate. And let's go.
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League is posted once again for week 2. Make sure that you get in it. It is a $10 entry fee, 3 max, $50,000 in the prize pool. Absolutely no rake. That's no service fee from DraftKings. It's a favor that DraftKings does for our community because you guys are so great in the Smiz Gang. So make sure that you get in today. Go to smizzle.tv/links. That will have the link to the Listener League and everything else. Jump in the Discord, follow me on Instagram, everything else. Follow the Fantasy Football channel where the recap video is for week 1. You can see how all my lineups were and did from that week. Everything you need is in the link tree, smizzle.tv/links, to make sure that you get your 3 entries in the Listener League today. Let's head over to the slate. We're going to start with the most obvious 2 captains, and they're extremely expensive and priced $1,200 and even more. So a $1,200 captain gap between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, and then a $1,500 captain gap to Justin Jefferson. Look, some guys are just matchup proof. Yes, this is a tough matchup, more so a tough matchup for Minnesota in total. Philadelphia is not going to be as dominant defensively as they were last year, which is something I said in week 1 with regards to specific things. Their front 7 is going to be fantastic. They're going to get tremendous amounts of pressure everywhere. They also had an injury to their linebacking core with a Liz Frank injury. They also now have Bradbury, their second cornerback, playing off of a concussion. I don't think he's going to be available. And Darius Slay, while did have a defensive touchdown in week 1 off of a tipped ball, he's on the wrong side of 30, and every year that goes by, he's still tough. He's still a very good cornerback, but Justin Jefferson, matchup proof. I think that this is going to be a tougher game possibly for Kirk Cousins because we have the narrative of Kirk Cousins not really playing well in games that start late. He's kind of the Morty Seinfeld of the NFL, where if you schedule a meeting after like 3 or 4 p.m., he must wake up at 4 a.m. every morning because he looks just exhausted on every island game. Hopefully he can put points up for Justin Jefferson and put points up for the Vikings so that this game really does have a possibility of shooting out, which is what I most like to see on island games. I don't want to see a slow slog. I don't want to see bully ball. I don't want to see 16-16 at the end of 4 quarters for showdown. That's really boring. It kind of sucks. I want shootouts, and the Vikings can bring that. And Justin Jefferson, coming off of a 9-catch, 12-target performance for 150 yards in week 1, but did not find his way into the end zone as advertised. Last year's Player of the Year came out just on all cylinders, firing on all cylinders in week 1, but you're going to have to pay up to get him at captain. If I'm going to play him at captain, if you think he's going to have another day like he had in week 1, that means that Kirk Cousins is going to be extremely viable with regards to his points in showdown. Every single point matters in showdown. The problem is this Philly front 7 is going to get an awful lot of pressure. That's just what they do anyway. Cousins is missing 2 offensive linemen. They could be completely under duress. While I don't think this is a spot like the Dallas game against the Giants, but stranger things have happened. I personally do not play defense and captain. If you want to do it, you can go ahead. Typically, you put yourself on the wrong side of the math. It's a massive leak in terms of showdown. If you play it every single showdown, you have an allocation for defense and captain. It's not a good idea. I'm going to have shares of Philly defense, but not in the captain spot. So in the case that Justin Jefferson is going to be the viable captain, then Kirk Cousins is going to put up enough numbers to be in that lineup, and you should probably tie one to the other because of the correlation therein. Jalen Hurts kind of a mediocre day. 13.5 points. Didn't really look great against New England. They did a good job. Also, it was inclement weather. Did not make things easy on that offense that day. They came out firing, and then they just didn't. Like, they looked great on that scripted first drive. He did complete 66% of his passes, which is great. But this is more of a situation where Minnesota, not a really good defense. We know that they're going to give up a lot. And based on how they played in week one, they know they're not a good defense. So you either have to do a couple of things as a defensive coach. If you know that you don't have the talent, you can ask your offensive coordinator to run the hell out of the football. They're not going to, and they can't do that. They're not built to do that. Kind of like the Cowboys did a few years ago, 5-6 years ago, when DeMarco Murray ran the ball, had 440 touches that season. They had a horrible defense, like an all-time horrible defense in terms of a per play basis, right? They were awful efficiently on defense, but they just wouldn't let you touch the ball. So if your offense can't get on the field, it doesn't matter, because if their defense sucks, right? So Minnesota are not built to do that. So their defense is going to be out there. So the other thing that they have to do is they have to try to push you into making mistakes. And in week one, they blitzed constantly. Like, that was how they just attacked. That's not going to work against Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. So if you're going to have Jalen Hurts as your captain, I think that he's going to be probably the most popular captain with Jefferson, just behind because of the salary gap between the two. It's easier to fit things with Jalen Hurts at captain and having Jefferson in the lineup, as opposed to the other way around. And usually I hold my quarterbacks at captain to a total of 10% between both quarterbacks, but I'm willing to extend that for certain quarterbacks, guys like Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to inflate that for that. So I have guidelines, but I wouldn't say that I have full on rules. You can adjust them in the Labs builder if that's what you want to do, or whatever builder you use. I personally use the one at Fantasy Labs. If I'm going to have Jalen Hurts, I'm going to build a group. I'm going to force 2 of his pass catchers into that group in every lineup where Jalen Hurts is the captain. So 1, 2, we'll talk about Gainwell in a minute. Goddard's going to be in that group. I'm not going to include the running backs. You can include Watkins there. You can do whatever you want. Same thing goes on the other side. If you think that this game does shoot out and Philly doesn't quite get to Cousins and he has his stuff under control, I'm going to build that same sort of group where I've got 2 of his pass catchers. Addison, really solid opening game for him. Great debut, caught 4 of the 6 balls headed his way, including a 39-yard touchdown over the top. They're going to have opportunities. He's not going to get the matchup. Slay is going to be on Jefferson, which means he's going to get their third cornerback, with Bradbury likely out with a concussion. Osborne had a pretty good game. 6 targets. It's not lighting the world on fire from a full slate perspective, but when you're looking at it through the lens of wanting every point you can get, Josh Oliver, same thing. 3 targets for 800 in a showdown is massive, and kickers do correlate a lot better with quarterbacks, so I will include the kicker in that quarterback group. A couple of other captains that we have to talk about. Let me bring up both teams here. First one is going to be A.J. Brown. 10 targets in week 1. I kind of like it when players don't have explosive games in week 1. Josh Allen didn't have an explosive game last night. Turned the ball over a lot. Again, it didn't look great. A.J. Brown, 10 targets. We love that. 79 yards, 7 catches, 14.9 points. I'm not saying people are going to shy away from, but casual players might do casual player things and, look at the box score from week 1 and determine through anchor bias that that's going to be the thing that happens all the time. 10 targets as well for Devontae Smith. I get asked all the time in regular games, right? In DFS games, main slate games. Are you willing? Should we double stack Jalen Hurts? Now, I know this is a showdown. You're going to double stack all over the place. But 10 targets and 10 targets, if that doesn't tell you enough that Jalen Hurts can support 2 pass catchers, and when he has a 30-plus fantasy point day, he's probably going to drag along these 2 characters along with him. Devontae Smith at captain, I am on board with. A.J. Brown at captain, I'm on board with. And if they're the captain, then Jalen Hurts definitely going to be tied to those lineups as well. Alexander Madison, a lot of hand-wringing on him. Now, it was a situation where they lost to Tampa Bay, but Very encouraging numbers for Alexander Mattison on an extremely modest box score. He played 75% of the snaps. He was in on, I think, all but one of their third down snaps and played every one of the snaps inside the 5-yard line. He is a high volume, always on the field, fantasy point scoring machine in games that they score over 24 points, 30 points IRL, where Alex Mattison is going to get dragged along. He's not going to be efficient on the ground. Do not expect him on a week in, week out basis, specifically against Tampa Bay and also against Philadelphia, to be able to post really efficient rushing numbers on a yard per play basis, on a yard per carry basis. However, the fact that you're out there getting all that volume, he should get 15 to 20 carries a week. He should probably draw with that usage, 75%, all the third down, long down, and distance, and the inside the 5 plays for touchdown upside. He's going to be an extremely valuable player, and I do think that he is captain viable in this tournament, but it's going to be a low allocation. It's a if everything kind of goes sideways thing, which when you're playing single game showdown, you do want to isolate for. And my final captain, there's a lot of captains in this one because of how star-studded these lineups are. TJ Hawkinson kind of gets overlooked all the time. Nobody wants to play TJ Hawkinson. I love him on main slates because of the tight end eligibility, but multiple touchdown upside. We've seen him post 35, 40-point games before on DraftKings. Would not be shocked if against Philadelphia, where you kind of have to go to the middle of the field to operate. I'm not saying that you have to do that when you have Justin Jefferson, but like tight ends do tend to have easier fantasy days against Philadelphia than do outside wide receivers. You attack them inside the hashes. But if you have Justin Jefferson, you just attack with Justin Jefferson. TJ Hawkinson could be the easy path for them to script in. If you play him at captain, same thing goes. You're going to put Cousins in there. Let's head over to Underdog. Let's build a pick'em. This is always fun for me. I always like the pick'em. So if you wanted to go with the Morty Seinfeld, you could go higher than 0.5 interceptions for Kirk Cousins, 0.5 receiving touchdowns for Justin Jefferson. I'm going to go higher on TJ Hawkinson, 4.5 receptions. I think that that's inbound with the amount of targets that he should be seeing this week. I'm going to go higher than 249 passing yards for Hurts and give me over on Devontae Smith. We're going to play that for $50 to win $300. I'm going to submit that. If you do not have an account over at Underdog Fantasy, use promo code ALSMIZZLE, ALSMIZZLE. You get up to $100 deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site. And if you wanted to be a better, head on over to Unabated Sports. Go to smizzle.tv/bets. They have this right here. You go to NFL, you go to DFS Pick'em, and it helps you find out. You can upload your own projections if you have them, or you can use the projections that they have loaded from Numberfire and Fantasy Pros and everything else to help you find out where the biggest edge is on all of the prize picks or Underdog Fantasy Pick'em cards. So go over to Unabated Sports, smizzle.tv/bet. You get a 5-day free trial. Can't do better than free. Go check it out and support the people who support the channel. Now, let's take a look at a couple of plays that I think are interesting. I mentioned I would talk to you about Gainwell. Rashad Penny was a healthy scratch in week 1. Now, Kenny Gainwell garnered his largest snap count and largest touch count of any game in his career. He is a wee lad. He is about 5'9", 198 pounds. And he played 62% of the snaps this week. Did not take part in Monday's practice because he has a rib injury. Not shocking that a little guy cannot be pounded and pounded and pounded over and over and over again. It's why guys that are built like Kenny Gainwell tend to be used as scat backs. Now, a lot of people thought that DeAndre Swift was going to be the guy in week 1 because of the healthy scratch. So DeAndre Swift did not he did not even bust great. Played 19 of 66 snaps. I don't like saying this because I am somebody who really likes DeAndre Swift's talent. I'm also somebody who really likes Antonio Gibson's talent. But there comes a time when we have to trust what these NFL coaches and teams are telling us over and over and over again, even though we as fantasy players or analysts or whatever fall in love with combine stats, what a player can do, how good they are in the passing game. Oh, they played wide receiver in college. Look how explosive he is, 50-yard runs. They're just not that into DeAndre Swift. Now, I'm hoping that because this running back room is so deep with, I think we see Penny come back and play this game. I wonder if this was a setup situation by Philadelphia. That's like, look, we're going to sit Penny in week 1. We have enough running backs. Then we're going to rest somebody else in week 2 because we have the Thursday night, the quick turnaround. I would not be shocked if Rashad Penny is active and plays the lead role in this game. I would be shocked would not be shocked if Gainwell sits for this game because of the short turnaround. Boston Scott, another guy that they've seen and trust, won't play a full role. But what they've shown us already with DeAndre Swift in a situation where they're not playing Penny is that they still weren't willing to give him an awful lot of snaps. Even though we think he's the most talented guy there, they just have trust in other guys. So like, unless we get word that changes from the time I'm recording this video on Tuesday, this video goes live on tonight. If you get word that DeAndre Swift is starting and beat writers are saying that he is going to be the lead guy if and when Gainwell is out, then you can go ahead and play DeAndre Swift. I'm not psyched about it. My initial read would be that it's going to be Rashad Penny, that they're going to play, they're going to sit out one, and that's going to be Gainwell. And I think that Penny is going to be the guy who gets the lion's share here in week 2. You can see his price, $1,600. Boston Scott is $3,000, and DeAndre Swift, because of, bias and fantasy community stuff, is up at $4,000. Other than that, one more play that's cheap, as I mentioned before, Josh Oliver, 3 targets, 800, sub 1K play. Let's head over to Fantasy Labs. Go to smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L. It is case sensitive to get a discounted membership there. If you're new to the site, you can see my rules that I put in here. Same thing for the positions. Pair your captain quarterback. Well, let me make this bigger for you guys. I think that's a little small, don't you? Now you can see. Pair your captain quarterback with at least 2 wide receiver, tight end, and kicker on showdown slates. Pair your captain quarterback with at least 1 of the skill position players from the other team. I'm not going to pair a defense against a captain quarterback. That doesn't make sense. Those two are in direct conflict with one another. If you have a captain wide receiver, put their quarterback on the team. Captain tight end, put their quarterback on the team, and limit to at most 1 defense and kicker from the same game in every lineup. I also build this other rule to try and make sure that I get a little bit contrarian, making sure that I have at least 1. I usually set this to at least 2 players that are less than 25%, because I do not want to hold hands with 500 people when we cross the finish line. If and when I have the right lineup, I want to maybe be solo or share it with a couple of people. We'll hit the generate button, make 150 lineups. Just realize that you're going to have massage these lineups. Make sure that you have the right allocations that you want. And I wish you the best of luck this week on Thursday Night Showdown. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.